My name is Stephen Rafferty, and you're watching/listening to These Are Questions. This is the interview show where I ask people questions about things, life, and such not. Today's guest is a professional marathon runner. He's done various marathons in both the half level and the full level. Please welcome Kieran Farrell.
How we doing, Stephen? It's great to be here. I'm finally happy we were able to get this to go after multiple attempts of me being down here, and finally happy to be here.
And I'm happy you are a part of the show. It's a long time coming, and I'm excited to interview you here on These Are Questions. So welcome to the studio.
Let's get rolling.
All right, let's get rolling. So let's get right to the chase. Kieran, I'm going to ask you a series of questions based on your career and aspirations, along with a mixture of questions that are borderline idiotic and, well, randomly stupid.
All right, let's go.
Okay, all right. I was going to do you accept the terms and do the whole bit, but okay, you're ready to go. Okay, I know it's a long time coming. I know we've been waiting for this for a while, so let's just make it happen.
Let's get it going.
So, Kieran, are you ready?
I am definitely ready.
Okay. Internet, are you ready? Gonna get a little... My audio engineer is going to be upset with me doing that, but it's fine because it's for comedic effect. With that, let's begin. So, as we kind of briefly just mentioned, we've been trying to do this for a long time. You even drove all the way from Orlando to come and visit me here at the Collab Studios, pun intended and plug intended, here in Miami, Florida. I'm happy for you doing that. I really do appreciate it, and I wanted to make sure this is big for this podcast studio and allow me to let you share your story specifically. We have a history. We've known each other for, oh my goodness, I think like over 15 years now.
Yeah, I moved down here in 2007. You were one of the first friends that I met in middle school.
Yeah,
and, we went to high school together. College, we separated, but we still going to hockey games together.
That's right.
And, catching up, after hockey was over, whenever I came down, always trying to get together, to hang out, catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've kept in touch since, and it's been amazing doing that. And it's been exciting seeing you grow, because as I seen you when we were younger, a lot of things have changed, and your life has changed, and a lot of awesome, cool experiences have happened for you. As you've been trying to collaborate and do this interview with me for a while, I really just want to give you kind of the open floor to start off our interview. I would love for you to just explain to me further, and also to explain to our viewers watching and listening to this episode, a little bit about your story and your reasoning as to why you got into running marathons.
Yeah, so running, I was always an active person. When my family lived in New York, it was baseball, basketball, soccer. Go by seasons, soccer in the fall, baseball in the spring, and then winter is basketball. Once we moved down here, some of the sports kind of, got pushed to the side, soccer being one of them. Basketball was a little harder. Baseball, if you didn't have an in, then you were more travel. And recreation wasn't really, the go for me. So, it became, all right, let me just start, get out there. I'm still always active. And then, middle school, high school became, all right, basketball, stick with that. Had a, fun high school season, freshman, sophomore year, going to back-to-back Final Fours. That was a lot of fun being on the team. And then proceeding into college where, I got offered I would say my first job in sports, and that was being an assistant basketball coach. And I loved every minute of it. The school I went to, deep runs, Elite Eights, Final Fours, and, we ended up going undefeated and, hosting a title. Hosting a championship. We got a banner in the gym now. It's fantastic to be there.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. 33-0 we went. I think we finished top 15 in the nation that year. It was a lot of fun seeing these kids grow up, and we still keep in touch. So the running part came when I was, in college, just looking what do I want to do, slowly, they call them the freshman 15. I was definitely gaining weight and whatnot, and it became known. I was like, yeah, no, playing basketball on Saturdays, I'm walking halfway up the court. I'm like, this is not for me. I need to, get going. I need to push myself. And my mom signed me up for a race, surprisingly, in 2017, and it happened to be in Disney. And ever since then, I was hooked. Came back, stayed in shape, continued to do stuff. Progressively pushed myself. From a 5K into a 10K, and then a 10K to a half marathon, and so on and so on. The rest is history. I've enjoyed them. I continue to run, as, reflecting on, how the day went with an all gas, no break mentality. And then also, cool off some steam from the work day, and also find ways to keep in shape and make sure that if I'm feeling a little off on something, go back to the drawing board and tinker it out and figure out all right, what is something that I did? Did I do this correctly? Did I not? And then and go from there. It's been I'm the shirt that I have says lucky to run. I'm very extremely lucky that I'm able to wake up every morning. I got two legs, continue to move and keep my pace at where I'm at. And my goals and aspirations for what I have here have continued. We'll continue for the time being.
Absolutely. That's an incredible story. And like just going from at a chance and moving along and trying different areas within your running has been really cool. And like I've seen you online just posting all these different marathons. And I was like, I could never run a marathon like that in that preparation. It takes a special type of human being to do that and to have the mindset and the discipline to prepare yourself to run these different types of marathons. It's nothing short of amazing to your own athletic and also your mental ability when you're doing these running marathons. It's quite impressive. So you should be very proud of these accomplishments.
Yeah, no, I definitely am. Rome, the phrase that everyone says, Rome wasn't built in a day. It definitely isn't. For me with marathons, some people can do them, go from a couch to a marathon in a year. For me, anytime I have a marathon, I definitely go through I call it training camp.
Okay.
So there's a month leading, 2 months basically out of it, looking out at the marathon. So for example, like if I have a marathon the first weekend in January, my training camp will basically start give or take 4 months in advance. So I'll start it in August and, progressively, go 4 runs a week, do a strength workout, a track workout. So technically, staying active 6 days out of the week. And then as we get, to the month of November, going to ramp it up a little more. Going to put in, Thanksgiving, that Sunday after Thanksgiving, we're going to try and go for a 16 to 20 mile run. Go from there, do that up early, the body of a mind, like, hey, we got this going. We got to ramp this up. And what training camp basically is for me is it's a reason to remember why I'm doing this. What is my why? Why did I sign up for this? Am I that crazy that I'm, going to be running a marathon in, less than 2 months? There's definitely people out there that'll be like, yeah, no, once I hit this, I can't do that. Okay. And then, so after that month, I then go into something called Hell Month. And I got the name from the Navy SEALs. I have a lot of respect for the Navy SEALs. Sure. And when they go into what they call Hell Week in San Diego in the Pacific, is that it's all hours on end for a week. And, they're given the first day, David Goggins spoke about it, given the first day there where, they're relaxed, they're given a lot of food, and they're comfortable. And then they become, very uncomfortable. It's like a 3 a.m. wake up call and they're running out to the Pacific. They're doing all these workouts throughout the day. They got to row a boat. They got to carry a boat into the water. It's a lot, it goes through a lot. So what I do is I'll stop basically eating, cut off eating at 7 p.m. I won't eat before my run. I have to make sure that I'm running in that morning. Okay. So if I have work, for example, at 9 a.m., I need to make sure at least I'm getting a run in of 3 miles before I get into work. So if I got to be up at 6 a.m. to go for that run, I'm doing it where I can at least, eat some food. And if I wake up at 8 a.m. and I don't go for a run before 9, that's on me. That's my own fault. And the only thing I'll take that day is water. It'll be really rough, but that's on my own self. Okay, yeah. And then I won't, no food will go into my body after 7 p.m. So in theory, when I do some of these, there might be some days where I'm just on straight liquid, and it's water or Gatorade or something like that, but no food intake at all. And that's on my own self because I didn't have the drive that day to do it. The drive keeps me going. Marathons are very hard. Everyone hits that wall between mile 18 through 20. And then, that's where you really got to dig deep and dig in and push yourself because, you got to find, remind yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Who's waiting for me at the finish line? Because there's always, whether you have a family or a friend or someone, there's someone going to be there cheering for you at that finish line. Yeah. Either in person, in spirit, or, they're going to call you on the phone. It's definitely going to be something that once you hit that finish line, it's going to be a major accomplishment that you hit.
Absolutely. And that's a great kind of analysis of like kind of the mindset behind running for a marathon. And like that was really cool to kind of listen to kind of your mindset and also like your mental prowess of when you're preparing for a marathon. And it really does take an extreme level of discipline. I feel like that's the biggest takeaway I got from listening back with you. That extreme level of discipline is so important because I would say like 90% of people on the planet couldn't do what you do.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah, no, there's, one thing that I tell people when they do their first marathon is you're about to be part of an extremely elite group. And that elite group is only 1% of people in this world have ran a marathon that are living right now and breathing have ran a marathon. So you're joining that 1%. So that means 99% of you people out there haven't ran a marathon. And, you break it down, it goes, half marathon, it's about like 3%. Only 6% of people in this world have ever ran a race. And whether that means, whatever race works for you, if you mile, a 5K is 3.1, only 6% of people in the world have done any of these races. I mean, you can do a local race and you're like, hey, I'm part of the 6%. It's, definitely a huge accomplishment because you're pushing your body to new limits and you're seeing what you can do because the body's an amazing thing. You can put go to bed at 2 a.m. and wake up at 4 a.m. and be like, oh, I'm tired. But you'll get that adrenaline rush, and that's what will keep you going to continue to push on.
Very cool. I like that. I like that adrenaline rush, pumping, moving, going quickly, and just like keeping moving forward. That mindset is incredibly important, and that can apply for various aspects of life. So that's very commendable. Very cool what you do.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And you kind of explained a little bit there, but is there like a very key difference when you're preparing for like let's say a half marathon as opposed to like a full like traditional marathon? Like any key differences between the two?
More nutrition intake for me. More nutrition intake. So that week leading up to a marathon is more important to me than week leading into a half marathon. I still have to carb load. And by carb load, I mean, I'm eating bread. I'm eating, chicken. It's bread, it's chicken, it's pasta. You think about, you name it. Like anything that's going to be good for my body that I can, try and keep it in the stomach. And, it's also light as well. Marathons leading in, I'll do like a grilled chicken sandwich.
Okay.
With less tomato and American cheese. Maybe I'll get a couple fries and that's it. But the day before each race, it's the same thing. It's a angel hair pasta with marinara sauce. No meatballs. And then, scarf that down. A lot of water. Any clear, non-alcoholic liquid. So Sprite I can have, that's what I'll do. But everyone's body is different. I know somebody that, somehow during the middle of the race for my nutrition, I go with honey stinger waffles. And basically what it is it's a very thin waffle.
Yeah.
They press it down and it's got flavored honey in there. And that keeps me going.
Okay.
I got a friend who goes to McDonald's and he gets hash browns.
Hey.
He's gotten Diet Cokes. And I'm like, you're a sociopath. You're a psycho guy. Like, I can't even imagine that. I'll give myself new challenges in between the course on the race. Like if I have friends there, I'll be like, hey, get me this, I'm just having fun, give me this. And the last one was they texted me the day before, like, what alcoholic beverage do you want?
Okay.
I told them, I was like, oh, gee, okay.
Oh, my
what
goodness.
Are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, have you had anyone run a marathon drunk or anything like that?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But they gave it to me. Thankfully, they were at like mile 24.
Okay.
The Disney Marathon. So it was on the Disney boardwalk. And I was already in the mindset because I broke that race down. I had a friend at Transportation Ticket Center. So that was like mile 7. And then I had my run group, which I'm extremely thankful for. They were at Hollywood Studios, which is just after 23 and a half. So, and then, mile 24 was the boardwalk. And, that's where the crowd starts to come alive, is once you're in Hollywood Studios, because that park opens at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
A little before 9. And what they'll do is, you're not in that park entirely for a lot, but they'll still have people there. And they're cheering for you, and they have photo pass. And it's a really cool thing when you don't know anybody there. But if you wear a shirt that has something on it, and they say, hey, for this last one, I wore an NYPD shirt in honor of my father and the boys in blue. And, they were like, hey, let's go NYPD. And I acknowledged it. I'm like, I don't know who you are. But for you to say that, that's pretty cool. So then I saw my running club in 24 at the boardwalk, and one of them reached out to me the next day and the day before, and they said, what alcoholic beverage do you want? And I told them, I was like, I don't want a heavy beer. I don't want a heavy beer. That's gonna sit me. I made that mistake in Chicago. We're never going through that again.
Okay, so no beer. Okay.
Well, I told them, I said, get me a light beer. Give me something like flavored water.
Okay.
And they say, what are your options? I say, give me a Coors Light. Not only did they give me a Coors Light, I'm thinking like I got like a 12-ounce can. They gave me a 24, 28-ounce can, and I just stopped. There's a photo of me on social media, and I just stopped and I lift up my sunglasses, and I got this face lit up like, ooh, what's that? Like, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then they hand it to me, I'm like, oh, geez, this is not a 12-ounce. I was thinking like, oh, I'll just chug this thing and I'll get going. I'll enjoy this. Now, this is a tall boy can. Like, oh, gosh, this is going to stink. This is really going to suck as I go through. But it was a lot of fun because as I'm carrying this, I'm seeing, the alcohol start to come out. And I'm like, oh, geez, what is this? And, I'm hearing all this, the roar of the crowd. And they're like, yeah, no, drink it. Let's go.
You got the pressure now.
Let's go. Let's drink it. So I'm drinking it. My friends got a video of me doing it. And, it was definitely an adrenaline rush. It was a lot of fun because, even though I'm wearing that shirt, a lot of people are like, yeah, you're a badass for doing that. You're running with a 24, 32-ounce tall boy can of Coors Light as you're going through the marathon, you're like about to get into the last part of it. I was like, hey, you know what? F it, let's go. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
Did I get stopped? Yes. They didn't really explain to me why. They just made me dump it out. So I squished the can in half, poured some of it out, and there was another outdoor crowd. I gave a toast to them. I finished. I'm like, I can't finish. There's a water stop here. I'm like, I toss it off to the side.
Hey, but it's an attempt. There's an attempt.
It was an attempt, and you know what? If there's an offer there again, I will definitely take it up because that was a lot of fun.
Well, now you know, and now for future, it's on camera now. So if you do for a future marathon on there, you got to hit them up there. So we got to make it happen.
Definitely, it's a lot of fun.
Very cool. And speaking of fun, I actually like your name a lot. Specifically, your last name, Farrell. I think it's a cool last name. Your last name is Farrell. I wanted to ask you, do you have any connections with Colin Farrell?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We did think as my family, like, all right, the old Red Sox manager, John Farrell, is there any relation to him? And, I looked into it. There isn't, which I thought, I was like, dang it, I might be related to an MLB manager. Hey, can you get me in? Even though I don't like the Red Sox, I'm a Yankees fan, but can you get me in there somehow? Like, I'll be your bat boy.
Yeah, could be something there.
It was definitely, get asked a lot of questions about that, but it's, I'm like, hey, I guess there's a lot of us. I know we're all Irish, but we definitely an interesting question.
Okay, well, thank you, and I'm going to further elaborate. You got me with the John Farrell. That was going to be my next part of it, but that's okay because I have a few more Farrells. Are you related or have any connection with Will Ferrell?
No, we do not.
Okay, scratch that out.
When I was in elementary school, people kept asking me that, and no, he actually spells his name Ferrell, and mine is Farrell. So there's different last name spelling. No relation. Never met him. Would like to meet him, but maybe one day.
Maybe for a future episode. You never know.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. I got a couple more. Did you know there's a boxer named specifically Kieran Farrell with that exact spelling? Or you have
Is
any?
there really?
There is. I want to know, is there any relation or connection with that boxer?
So that's the first time I'm hearing that.
Okay.
Typically, when anyone asks me of my first name, they ask me the Japanese beer. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I actually went to, and I tried the beer. The beer's actually very good, but they spell that name Kiran. And it's a very good beer.
Okay.
Very good beer. I like it. Anytime I'm over there, I try and get some to bring back or whatever, but it's very good. But yeah, no, I never knew there was a boxer by my name.
Well, now you know.
Well, no. I have to look them up.
And we're learning a lot on these are boxers and these are beers at the moment. So we're doing pretty good. I just have one more just to ask and just continue on. One more name, Christian Farrell. You're going to keep it on. That's even funnier. Christian Farrell. Any relation, any connection?
If it's the Christian Farrell I'm thinking of, it's my little brother.
Oh, okay.
He's about little over, I want to say like 20 months apart.
Okay.
He's very intelligent. He's much faster than me.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to get him to do some races, and my mom has, my sister has, and his excuse is no. I'm out of my prime for running.
Okay.
But he'll still go out every morning on Saturdays at the crack of dawn to go play soccer for 4 hours. So we're like, you're out of shape, but you're playing on a pitch that's, much bigger, and you're probably running the same distance that you would, but you're just taking, intervals.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
but yeah, no, he's if it's my brother, he's a Patriots fan, I'm a Jets fan, so we there's always a rivalry in that house,
Okay.
2 times a year, thankfully Jets are starting this year off on a great start. We beat the Patriots in Foxborough for the first time since 2015. And I had a text I was waiting to send him. And I said, how about them Jets?
There you
Because
go.
every time he would come down, no matter what game, if it was the Jets against the Patriots, he would come, he would do a quick handshake, and he's like, better luck next year, brother. Little brother. I'm like, I'm not the little brother here. It's not my fault that my team sucks right now, and your team somehow still has the greatest quarterback
At the moment.
at the moment.
At
But
the
not anymore. They traded Mac Jones, and we'll see who they got now. But
Sure.
the Jets are on new heights, and hopefully we'll be hosting a Lombardi Trophy in the next 2 years.
So that kind of leads to my next question here is I was going to say, will the Jets ever win another Super Bowl?
Oh, man, I would love to. I'd love to. I wasn't there, wasn't even born. I think my dad was a couple years old. He was a toddler when they won with Joe Namath.
Okay.
When we were in high school, freshman and sophomore year, the Jets had Sexy Rexy, the Sanchez. It was great to be a Jets fan. You're in the playoffs, you make it to the AFC Championship game back-to-back years, and then it just the luck ran out. Where I'd love to see this team with Aaron Rodgers as our quarterback. I know he's a little old. We got to fix that O-line. 75 seconds in your debut, probably not what anyone wanted. But we just got to find the right guys that want to be part of this team. With the Jets fan base, we're blue collar guys. We're passionate. We're gonna be there no matter what. There have been times where I'm like, I don't want to watch this game. We suck. Why is this like this is so bad? But I keep the game on, and I'm looking for the little things that hey, this guy just got this. This guy just did this. It's pretty. As much as I'd love to turn the games off, I can't. I'm very attached to this team. When we lived in New York, the Jets training facility was at Hofstra University, which is like 15 minutes away. And my dad is still in contact with their head guy. I believe head guy is security. So when coaches go to shake hands, he's typically the short little bald guy with the hair pulled back of an Italian. He's there with them. And, it's been very cool. 03, 04, and 05, I believe, I got football signed by the entire team. There were a couple just because of that guy, because my dad was a Jets fan. He knew him, and then I got to be there. So it was pretty cool to be on the opposite sideline as the players walked by, getting them to sign a ball.
That's cool. Yeah.
And, there were a couple football players who lived around the area from where my parents lived. We didn't live in a very high up neighborhood in New York, and we lived in Hempstead, New York.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
having, players like Kevin Mawai, who was the center for the Jets at that time, Pro Bowl guy, he lived around the block. Curtis Martin happened to be literally across the street, and it was a great time seeing them because they were just regular guys. And me being at that age, starting to get attached to the teams, expectations are winning. It's Super Bowl or bust, and it's always been that. They were great to me and my family, and gonna give it back to them and be great to them until I die. So I'm hoping that so I can make that trip up and be, wearing all my Jet stuff, dancing in the streets, and seeing them get the key to the city in New York. I'd love to see it.
Hey, you never know. Never say never. Yeah. Let's see what happens. It just takes time. It just takes time and the right team for it there.
Got to beat Patrick Mahomes and those Swifties, that's for sure.
Yeah, those Swifties. I tried to get Taylor Swift on this show. Respectfully declined.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Once she realizes how big this podcast is, then she'll definitely be coming back.
Absolutely, after Swifty-lutely there, definitely. Speaking of races, I do have one question about races. Specifically, a relation with sloths and races. I'm gonna say this, Kieran. Could 200 sloths on one skateboard beat Tony Hawk in a skateboarding race?
Oh man, 200 sloths.
200 sloths.
Skateboards really aren't that big. I mean, if they have a longboard, that's still gonna be think like 200 sloths.
Yeah. And we're just gonna do like just a race. We're just gonna go downhill. It's gonna be like a jam for it. If you get the reference, shout out to people listening for that reference. But you're gonna go downhill, just a slope downhill. You got 200 sloths stacked up on one skateboard, and then you have the greatest professional skateboarder of all time. Place your bets. Place your bets.
I think it'll be close.
Okay.
I definitely can see the sloths pulling it out.
Okay.
And reason being, if they get that head start ahead of Tony Hawk, one sloth happens to fall off, and Tony's got to dodge them. Tony's gonna have to do some bobbing and weaving to get around them just to pass them. I think it'll be close.
Okay.
But at the end, I do believe the sloths will prevail and come out on top.
Okay. Good to know. Good analysis there. I see that. I see that broadcast analysis right there. You've had no botches like me earlier, so we're on a great start. Great analysis there. My next question is, do you own the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine?
I do not.
Okay.
I do kind of wish. I hope they bring back a new live action movie for that. I do wish the Mystery Machine. I've driven by. I've seen it. I was like driving like, wait, what? Is that who I think it is? Is that the Mystery Machine? But just time hasn't worked out where I've been able to purchase it. I've looked online for it. They're asking for quite a hefty price, but
I believe so. Yeah.
It's definitely. I just don't know where. If I was to buy it, I guess I'd be living in a van down by the river then.
Yes. Oh man, I was not expecting a Chris Farley reference in this podcast. Oh man, rest in peace for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I won't be rolling doobies, but I might be living in a van down by the river. That's for sure.
That's right. And this podcast is going to go on a van down by the river very shortly. There we go on there, as I'm making more noises on my table there. But it's fine because these are questions on a van down by the river.
Always.
Let's go back to marathons because I have a couple questions I want to ask specifically with that. And the two questions I want to ask, the first one is, so you kind of pseudo answered it with the beer question. However, when you're completing a marathon, like you finished a marathon, it's over, we did it, great job, awesome job. What is your ultimate victory meal?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Every marathon that I've ran, it's been different. Going back to my first one where I ran, I really messed up my hip within the first half mile.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Continued to push through and ran that. Ended up finding out what I really did was I should have stopped, but I had that, New York mentality in me where I was like, you know what? F it. Just going to keep going.
Yeah, great.
Just going to keep going. I got my family at the halfway point. I got, someone that I played basketball with. He got off of work from his being a cop, and he drove out from, living in Boca. He drove out to Fort Lauderdale commercial, and as I was coming by, he sounded the sirens, and he ended up following behind me until, I made a left and he made a right. That dinner was Valentine's Day. Oof,
happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. You really messed up your hip where you got to take 2 weeks off of work kind of thing. Yeah, that was not the best. I believe it was a twice baked potato, Caesar salad, and filet mignon, that one. With lobster tail. I believe it was that.
Okay. Good mix.
Yeah, but of the 6 marathons that I've ran, the food's always varied. I would say my favorite would have been this past year when I ran the Chicago Marathon with some friends. And we organized a dinner after. But, after the marathon, I really wasn't in the mood to eat. I was more like, let me, decompress, take off my nasty clothes, and, once I got to the hotel room, my family was there. They were supportive. I injured myself again doing something, but I pushed through. And I had deep dish pizza, grilled chicken sandwich, fries, hot fudge sundae. The list goes on. I think I had a couple beers and a Sprite, but it ranges. I would say probably give me a nice bacon cheeseburger with lettuce and tomato, a bunch of fries, a milkshake, and top it off. Why not just get like a double scoop of cookies and cream ice cream?
Ooh, good stuff.
Some sprinkles, just give me the can of whipped cream. I'll finish that can. Gotta regain those calories. So.
That's right. Gotta regain it back as you have your little Valentine's little card saying, roses are red, violets are blue. I messed up my hip.
Yeah, that was not a
down by the river.
Yeah, that was not. It was in Fort Lauderdale, and it was not a pleasant day either. It was. Like the humidity, made it feel like 98 degrees.
Oh,
like it was a house. Of course, wearing all black with a Camelback first marathon. It was not the best, but we've increased our time since then. From there, I've done 3 Disney marathons. I've ran New York City. and that was by far the best marathon I've ever ran.
Okay.
Chicago is right behind there. Fort Lauderdale, even though we're near here, like you guys are on the like that. I am not going back there to run any of your races.
Oh no.
I have no desire.
Not just throwing shade on here.
Yeah.
Throwing shade here on these are questions.
But don't get, hope I don't get hung by doing that by saying Fort Lauderdale, you're not good for me. But yeah, no, it's
Well, I appreciate Fort Lauderdale and their beaches, and I appreciate Miami and their beaches. And
spring break time. I'm staying far away from that place. I'll tell you that. Man.
Okay, well, fair.
I'm not going anywhere near those two places.
Well, that's you're a Floridian.
That's why I moved to Orlando. I don't got to deal with that.
That's fair, but as a Floridian, you know when to come down and when not to come down.
Of course.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, you keep that. Got to keep the tourists out and the residents in because we live and breathe. But we come here in South Florida.
Oh yeah.
So absolutely. I wanted to ask. You've given me a lot of insight here in this podcast here, and these are questions, and I very much appreciate it. What's a key piece of advice for someone who wants to run their first marathon ever, like first-time marathon runner? And what's a great piece of advice for someone that's like a veteran marathon runner?
Yeah, so I'll break that into two parts.
Yeah.
For first-time marathoner, when I had right before my first marathon, now fortunately I have 3 coaches for what I do with running. My dad, he ran track in high school, and he was NYPD cop, stayed a cop, retired. Now he's enjoying his retirement life down here.
Yeah.
Anytime I ask him any questions about like mental stuff, like just pushing through, because when I think like people tell me I'm a badass, like no. This guy's a badass. He was 9/11. He was a badass cop. He did a lot of stuff. There was like, wow, your dad did that? Like, yeah, he did. Like anytime I, get a chance, I thank him for it. So I have my dad. He's more like my mental cop and my mental coach. And he was there for New York City. He was there for Chicago. He was there for Fort Lauderdale. Disney, I've told him not to come because it's a 3-hour drive. It's not worth it. To go out of state, yeah, it's definitely worth it. Going back to New York, that's where we're from, so we have family there. I have another coach who's more my speed coach, Joey Greeny, who I just got in last year. I reached out to him. He happens to be the strength and conditioning coach for the Tampa Bay Rays. So with me living in Orlando, him in St. Pete, we keep in touch on Instagram a lot. Hopefully we're going to be able to meet towards the end of spring training season. We've kept in touch. And he's looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go see one of their games. He's got me a couple tickets, so we're definitely hoping to see him before the game. If not before the game, then definitely after the game. My first ever coach in running, who was probably the best coach I've ever had, just ended up passing away a couple days ago.
My condolences.
Thank you. I got a text from his mom when I was working down here with the NHL, and she told me, he passed. And fortunately, the funeral was yesterday. I was able to go and see him one last time and see his family and talk to them about what had happened. He found me in 2012. I happened to get bullied one day, and I was just like headspace, like what do I want to do? And he happened to play for the Seattle Seahawks. He happened to be down because he had a job interview with another potential branch of company because he was thinking about retiring from the NHL because he just had a concussion the season before. He's like, this is your brain. You got to figure out what you want to do with it.
Right.
And we kept in touch. Happened to be that my brother and his younger brother went to Cardinal Gibbons together, and then the youngest one family went to Cardinal Gibbons with my sister. So we got to see each other a lot. When I told him I wanted to do long distance in 2017, he said, Rome wasn't built in a day. He said, I'll give you some advice. He said, but you got to do it all yourself. He said, I got a kid. I was like, that's fine. He said, as long as you give me the advice and help me get going and whatnot. And it was, you just got to get a push. You got to find that itch. You got to have that itch that you want it. And the best advice he gave me was, think of you're on a plane. No one's going to push you. You got to plan a takeoff. And once you plan that takeoff, it's nice up there. So get used to it. Get enjoying it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be fun. And that's the best advice that coach Bo Williams has ever given me. And, now every time I go for a run, he's going to challenge me, whether it's, Florida, we go into the rainy season. If I go for a run at 2:00 and then, it's downpouring on me at 2:30 in the middle of my run, I know that's going to be him giving me a challenge to push through. He's given me a bunch of different challenges. The last one I would say was probably my hardest was I did going into a marathon in January. I told him, I want to give myself something different, not just focus on the marathon. give me something else.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing 5 half marathons in 10 weeks. Happened to be. I did one.
Wow. Jeez. My goodness.
Yeah, I did one in the beginning of December. Ended up making that a 20-mile run, just to ramp up for my marathon training. And then I did one 2 weeks later. It was a half marathon. Woke up at 4 in the morning, ran that. And then, the Disney half marathon, which ended up getting cut in half. So it was half of a half. I count that as towards it. And then the next day was the marathon.
Yeah.
A week after that marathon, I went over to Disneyland and I ran my 4th half there. And then at the end of January, I ran the celebration half. And, my times kind of stayed the same. But I just knew, the 5th one was going to be a lot because I really didn't do much training. I happened to get sick and wasn't eating much. Was more, very lazy, which is not me. And, pushed through, got that time. If I went in with the mindset, it was, 2:07. I ended up telling him, like, that was a hard challenge. And he said, well, gonna have to do it again until you, find, check that off that you did it. So, might be doing that again in December, January. We'll figure that out when that time comes.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's definitely, for someone who wants to become a marathoner, you gotta get in the mindset that, Rome wasn't built in a day. This is gonna take some time. You can, if you're actively running, you're going from a half marathon to a full marathon. It's a huge jump. It's an additional 13.1 miles, which some people are like, oh yeah, no, I can do that. Like, I don't hit a wall there. You're gonna hit a wall in a marathon because your body's just gonna want to stop. It's gonna want to stop, and you're gonna have to take a walking break maybe once or twice. I'll admit it. I've taken a mile-long walking break where I've had friends who have ran marathons with me, and they passed me like, you're all right? I said, yeah, I'm just hanging out, enjoying this. May as well give it a shot, see what happens.
Yeah, you're taking that breather. Like, it's important for your body. Like,
Yeah.
you know your body more than anybody else on the planet. So, like, if you know your body needs to ramp up or needs to take a breather, you know how to pivot in between.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's definitely, a huge, major accomplishment when you when you hit that start line of the marathon. There's definitely the butterflies. And I get butterflies for every race. I get butterflies for every run. Am I going to, have my nerves start going, 20 different places, if this happens, if I'm running with my run group and, I'm leading the pack and, there happens to be, an odd noise, I'm going to wait for them all to pass.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm going to wait for them all to pass by me because I don't know what that noise is.
Right.
So the inner, defense mechanism for me, I guess you could say, is going to come out. My run group, we meet on Monday nights and there's a bunch of us. Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. There's not a lot of us. So if I hear that noise, I'm going to start, looking in that area, or I'll send out a message, be like, hey, look, this possible area, there was an odd noise. Just be alert. Always be watching your 6. And, it's come to the point where, unfortunately nowadays with running, male or female, you got to carry something because you don't know what psycho person's going to come after you.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely been some people, I'm in a group chat, that some of them, their wives almost got hit by a car, and she was, the person wasn't looking. So you always have to come up with like that kind of plan. Like, when I get ready to go for any kind of run, I have my phone on me. In my phone, there's pictures of what, I have.
Okay.
Like, if I have, God forbid,
something happens.
I have, photo of this ID on me. I have this on me. I have my keys on me. There's a horn that I have. There's a bunch of different things that go into it. But for training, with going from a half to a full, it's a lot because you hit that wall and you just got to find a way to get through that adrenaline, whether it's going on a bridge, coming off a bridge, there's going to be people that are going through the same thing. And you just got to break through that wall, push through the wall, break it down. And you know what? If you got to say, fuck it, we're here. I got 2 miles to go. Let me give it my all. Then go for it. Will you do it again? You can end up saying, no, I don't want to do this again. Middle of the race. And you're like, all right, yeah, no, I checked it off my bucket list. It's definitely, a lot of practice, a lot of time, and a lot of long runs. And your legs are going to probably hate you at the end of each long run. But, when you go into your room or wherever you place those medals and you see, like, hey, I did that. I had that itch. I had that want then. Do I have it again? And to be honest, that itch and that want has not left me. There's a goal that I have in mind, and hopefully, I can accomplish that before I'm 45 years old. I'd love to.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens.
Well, we'll see, and I'm wishing all the best in all of your professional and marathon-esque goals that you're thinking about doing into the future. I think it just comes down to the mindset and just if you're willing to do something, putting the time and the effort and the hours and the blood, sweat, and tears, making that happen, that's what's ideal. And I can have a pretty high guarantee that if you're doing that, wonderful things are going to come happen for you. You know what I mean? So, I'm wishing all the best. And thank you for providing the insight that you've had here in this episode, along with the insight with the motivation and motivational advice you've provided for us, for the listeners and the viewers watching this episode.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Not every run is going to be a great run.
Right.
You're gonna have those bad runs, whether you're like, I'm just not feeling it. As long as you go out there and you give it, like you attempt to do it, then you're great.
Awesome. That's great. And with that great notice, we are wrapping up our episode of These Are Questions, but I just have one more question to ask you on this, episode. The last question I want to ask you is more or less a scenario.
Okay.
And the scenario is you are stuck in an infinite time loop. Okay? There is one thing you could do to break that time loop. But the question is, what is the one thing you would do to break that time loop?
To break that time loop. Jeez. It would. I'm a very selfless person. I find myself to be. If it was to, my parents might not like this, but then they would end up. They would realize why. If I had to give my life to give for that time loop to, and are there other people in this time loop with me?
Yes. I'm going to give a yes. I'm going to make it harder for you. I'm going to give you that challenge.
So you know what? It comes down to if I got to give my life to break this time loop and for them to be free, then, I'll do it because at the end of the day, we're no longer in this time loop of a mess. We're going to, and I know that they're going to be, very well off. If it happens to be some of my friends that I've created, like if it was you or, other guys, in the NHL or with Orlando that I run with, without a doubt, I would definitely do it because they're great people. It's been a blast to be around them and see them grow. It's been, and, I think they would kind of do the same for me. That's the one thing that going back to Ryan, that's one thing that we find that, we're all not going to be fast.
Yeah.
We're all different, but we all come together for one thing. It's creating the bonds and the friendships that will last a lifetime where, if you do a Run Disney race and you're in Massachusetts, you only come down 4 weekends of a year. We don't say goodbye. We'll just say we'll see you next time because it's either January, February, April, or November. So there's always time around. And, they end up bringing their families. It's fun seeing these people grow and, seeing a little kid. My nephew, for example, he was 1. He did his first race, and now he's 7, and, he's out on a hockey rink. And it's fun to watch these people grow and see them become, who they are. I'm extremely fortunate that, one person that I've met through running where I was like, I don't know if I want to be up in Orlando anymore. I happen to get a job offer back down here. Like, I could break my lease, could move back during the summer. We'll see what happens. His name's Brandon Knight. Brandon is now going to get married next month. And
congratulations to him.
He, we ran Chicago together. He pushed me through. I was in hell back in September because I was contemplating not even running Chicago, to be honest. I was like, got my flight booked. I can easily cancel it and push it back. I can defer. And, we spoke about it because he knew what was going on. There was a lot of stuff that happened one particular weekend. And I reached out to him like, you're going to have to push me on these. And, we're around the same speed. And he's like, I got you, brother. We were in the same corral for the marathon. Our plan for that marathon broke apart real quick. Because I was on the left side and he was on the right side. And, it's become a very good friendship. We talk almost every day. If we're not talking every day, we're seeing each other every day. And, he becoming friends with a run club, with Home State Run Club. He met his fiance. She's a wonderful lady. She's funny to be around. And now, the three of us do a dinner every month after a race or something. And, I'm in his wedding party. Can't wait to be there next month to see them all. And, it's a blast being part of this community because, no matter where we are, we're cheering for each other. And, we've ran numerous races together. We hang out all the time. It's a great time to be with one another. So, if you feel that you're left out after you do a run, just stay, especially at a Run Disney one, just stay a little bit later, because there's always going to be somebody you can talk to. Like, hey, how was that race for you? What did you think? You just want to know like what they thought, and if they can give you any advice. Like, hey, I think I might have gone out. What do you think? Like, I was doing this pace, and then this happened. Well, you might have gone out a little too fast.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that a lot of people do. I'll be honest, I do that all the time. I go out like my hair's on fire, and I'm fortunate enough to have a friend who's in entertainment, so I kind of get the hints and the down lows of what's going to be out and about on those courses.
Okay.
And,
It's good. It's what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah,
Sure.
and it's very cool to see something that I've never seen, or I have seen, but in a different outfit, and full on sprint there, or be able to run a mile with a friend of mine who can run a under 6 minute mile, and I'm like, you're insane.
That's wow.
But
That's a good
to
one.
be able to run a mile with him, and then feeling like, oh, yeah, I gotta back off. I got a marathon the next day, buddy. You keep going, man. But yeah, no, it's definitely it's a lot of fun. I would definitely give my life for those people, just for to break that time loop.
Oh, well. Kieran Farrell, a selfless man, selfless marathon runner.
Yeah.
Who knows how to break all the time loops.
Yeah, no, somehow I've found ways to do that, and also, find an extra energy boost with people, where they're like, hey, I want to PR in this race. Yeah, you want me to PR you? Okay, this is how it goes. I'm going to find ways to push you. And, the last person that I pushed, he wanted to get under I want to say it was like sub 51 minutes for a 10K. And not only did he get that, but it was I videotaped his finish, and while we were running, I was sending it to his wife. And not only was it, I was honored to be asked to be one of his pacers, but, to see, he wasn't crying, but he knew that he could do it. And he wanted to stop. And I told the other person, I said, keep going. I'm going to go grab him. And, we ended up running that race and pushing, and he is now on a cruise right now with his family, and he's enjoying it. And I told him, I said, look, you can do anything if you push yourself. You're going to go into that dark place, but you got to remind yourself, why are you doing this? And at the end of the day, we're all doing it for something different. One could be doing it for their cousin. Another one could be doing it for someone who died of cancer. For the next race that I have in April, it's going to be tough, because without having Bo there to challenge me in something, it's going to be like, what am I going to do? Like, what kind of mindset am I going to have going in? And having these running friends I was able to reach out to and told them, like, I'm going to need you guys to push me for the next 2 months, because I got 4 races left in this season, and I'm going to need you guys to be there for me. And without a doubt, one of them called me. He's like, you're all right? And I told him, and the other 2 reached out, like, yeah, no, we got you. We're going to push you through this. If we're not there, we're going to find ways to reach out, to grab you and push you to get to that finish line and get those goals. So, and then, new challenge will come next season with the running season, where there's a very high chance that I'll be able to run the New York City Marathon again. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Hoping that I can, get in with the lottery. I find out the end of March.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you. Fingers crossed. And, it's
hopefully, I don't know when this episode's going to be airing publicly just yet, but like hopefully by then we'll have that answer if you got in or not. So
and that'll definitely be, a huge accomplishment, because running New York City Marathon back at home, it's a huge thing, because my family will come out and support. You got a bunch of people, you don't run with music. That's what I tell people. You don't run with music when you're in New York City, because the buildings are so tall and the noise echoes and bounces off. And, you're part of a party that's got 1 million people that are going to be there. You go through 5 boroughs. You start in Staten Island, you hear the national anthem. The NYPD does an amazing flyover. They send you off. You go over the Verrazano. You're in Brooklyn. You're in Queens. You're in the Bronx. You're in Manhattan. And then you finish in New York City. It's a great race weekend, because the city really does come alive, and it's a full circle for me and my dad, because my dad did those details when he was a sergeant. He was an NYPD cop, so he's always going to be there with me, and seeing family. But I know any tough run that I have, or if it's raining and the sun just happens to shine on me, I know it's going to be Bo's going to be looking down at me, and he's like, you got this. Bo knows now. Bo, he's in a better place, and I know it's going to be tough going in, but any challenge that I end up coming with running, it's going to be him trying to push me, because he knows that I can do it.
Absolutely. And that's what's important, and that's what matters. He's always with you from above, and your whole family is there to support, and that's all you need as you're going along with everything. And that's a fantastic way to kind of cap off and end our episode here on These Are Questions. So I just want to say, Kieran, it was a pleasure interviewing you. This is a long time coming, so this was exciting to do this interview process, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time to speak with me here on the show and having to feature here in the Collab Studios here in Miami. Wishing you all the best as you continuing on your marathoning journey. That is a double entendre, pun intended, and wishing all the best on everything that's going on for it. And then for our viewers and our listeners watching, whether you're watching on youtube.com, watching on social media, or listening on our Spotify/Apple podcast feed, we just want to take this moment to just say thank you. Thank you so much for watching/listening to These Are Questions. We got plenty of episodes going along for this season, for season 7 of the show. And with that, all I just have to say is that you have been watching/listening to These Are Questions. Have a good night, everyone.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Run a marathon right now. Like, finish the episode and go run. Run like 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles. I'm going to go run to the nearest fast food station with my sloths and skateboards and try to break my time loop for the marathons.
There you go.
There you go.